My name is Sarah, welcome to the It is a Sarah podcast. Today it is Monday, July 8, 2024 and I have a new week filled with daily episodes for you. This will be the last week with daily episodes before my holiday starts. I will take a break, a holiday break, a few weeks I guess. I'm not quite sure, I didn't check my agenda. I will share that with you at the end of the week. But today I have a lot of nice things to share with you. I am coming to you from the Netherlands, so excuse my Dutchy English. I love to knit, I love to crochet, and I love to sew, and I love to talk. So that's the perfect combination for making this podcast. I have had a lovely weekend, but there was much less knitting and crochet time as I hoped for. But the reason for it was good, because this weekend I could finally launch a work in progress I'm working on behind the scenes for quite some weeks now. Maybe you have seen it on my Instagram, but I will organize a festival in November this year. It will be the K2P2 festival, a knitting and crochet festival in my hometown, Breda, in the Netherlands. And it is so exciting because, all the lovely knitting people will come. I really hope that if you are living in the Netherlands or quite close to the Netherlands, you realize you are welcome too. It's not specific a Dutch festival. It is a Dutch festival, but we love to go international. But I will share all the details in a separate video, which will come tomorrow online. So I won't deep dive into it right now, but you can find all the information on Instagram. I will link the Instagram account from K2P2 down below. But it's really exciting for me to organize this. It will be so much fun. It will be an amazing day with all the connection, all the knitters, all the crocheters, all the creativity. It will be very hard jumping. I am so looking forward to it. But also my to-do list is endless. As you can imagine. So I had to spend some time on that this weekend. So there was a little less creative time for me, although that's also a creative process. But I did finish some things. Let me start with what I'm wearing, because that's the most hard jumping part in today, I guess. I finished this one actually last Thursday. It was already finished. I only had to embroider 3 little flowers and I did that then. And this is really an amazing add to my wardrobe. I didn't realize I missed this kind of garment. It's actually, it's a sleeveless vest. In the Netherlands, we also call it a body warmer. Is that also a term in English? It sounds quite English. And it's definitely a body warmer. I am wearing it right now. We had quite some cold days in the Netherlands. And now I think this week it will be a little bit warmer and better weather, more sunny and higher temperatures. But it's still quite chilly in the morning. And wearing this body warmer really warms my body. It's really, of course, it's a logical name, but I feel the name in my body this morning. That was quite funny. It is knit in a woolly yarn. So yeah, I don't know. It's the perfect garment for colder summer days and evenings, I guess, the mornings, because a cardigan with sleeves would probably be too warm, but only a little woolly layer around my torso. It's exactly what I needed to have a nice temperature. And I think I probably will put it out within a few hours, because then it will be too warm, but it's absolutely hard jumping. It is a Dutch pattern. It is called Wollen Hesje Hildegard, which means woolen vest Hildegard. And it's a pattern from Nienke Landman. She's a Dutch designer. The pattern is online available, but only in Dutch. You should, maybe you could try Google Translate. I know Dutch knitters sometimes knit patterns from Norway. Norwegian patterns with Google Translate. I never tried it myself, although I needed Google Translate when I started knitting English patterns. I don't think the Dutch knitting language is very logical, but it's also not a very difficult pattern. So I did do quite some modifications. The pattern, let me start with the yarn. I did use other yarn. The pattern is designed for a bulky weight yarn, and the pattern was gifted to me by Nienke, I have to say that too. And I made a bulky weight yarn version immediately when the pattern came out this winter for my youngest girl. And that's also an amazing vest, lovely, but I'm not really a bulky weight person, I guess. I love Alafas Lopi, but this yarn was even thicker. But Alafas Lopi for me is the thickest yarn I love to work with, I guess. That's also bulky weight. I'm not quite sure. Maybe it was even chunky weight. I'm not quite sure. It was really thick. My daughter is asleep, so I can't put it, but I will link my Ravelry page down below. And I want to make a thinner one. I actually wanted to make one in lead lopi, but because the season is not really lead lopi suitable for me, I chose something else from my stash, and that's this yarn. It's Yerbo Alpe. It's a DK weight 100% woolly yarn. I guess it's superwash. And I chose a beautiful dark brown chocolate color. The color number is 36113. And yeah, it's a lovely yarn. I have no idea how it will hold up, but knitting with it reminded me a little bit of Sandnes Peer Gint. So that was really nice. But of course, because the yarn was much thinner, I needed to do some modifications. The first modification I also did the first time was this pattern is designed to be knit in pieces. When I can avoid that, I will, because I don't love sewing the pieces together. So I did knit it in one piece. It's knitted bottom up. So you start at the bottom. And of course, when you split for the sleeves or the armholes, there are no sleeves. You need to knit back and forth all the time. But then you finish the front pieces and the back pieces separate. And then I knitted them together again with the 3 needle bind off. So no sewing involved for me, but that's not how the pattern is telling you to do it, but it's all fine, all good. For my size, I would need size small, I guess. And I checked, what I did was checking the amount of stitches I needed for the biggest size, extra large it is, I guess. And I compared the amount of stitches for that size with other patterns in my Ravelry library in DK weight yarn, which were also bottom up. So I could see how many stitches did I need for the cardigan. The last thing I finished in DK weight yarn is the Leith cardigan, I guess, the scrappy Leith cardigan. And I also used this yarn for the ribbing. So I compared them together, and it's not the same amount of stitches, but I added 20 stitches to the largest size, or maybe 21, I don't know. But it worked out pretty good because the size is perfect, exactly as I want it to be. I did also a modification here because there originally were only 5 stitches here, but of course, then the ribbing would be a little bit too small. So I did 7. And this was a slip stitch. And when you make a slip stitch with very thick yarn, it's very visible and clear. But when you make a slip stitch with DK weight yarn, it was not as visible as I wanted to be. So I did a drop stitch cable, and I filmed that for you last week. So that was very satisfying to do. And I really loved those stitch columns. Catching the cable, it's a really nice detail. The cables, I did knit them exactly the same as the pattern told me, but they because I used the same amount of rows, they are a little bit more close together, and that influenced my embroidery, my woolly tattoo. I will tell you that at the end because that's the finishing touch. There were also folded ribbings at the armholes and the neckline. I did start with knitting folded ribbing. You just knit it extra long and then fold it and sew it together or knit it together. But I didn't really love the look of it. Maybe maybe because it's now summer or spring, actually. Oh no, it's already summer. Maybe, yeah, I don't know. I did it on the cardigan, on the vest for my daughter, and it looked very nice, but it was not matching this garment. That's also interesting. Sometimes design details are very lovely, but when you are knitting it your own, you think, oh, this is not matching what I want, or my yarn, or my color, or the time of the year I wanted to wear. So I skipped that and just bind off after a few rows. Yeah, then the finishing touch, the embroidery. Oh, I love it. I love to add woolly tattoos to my garments, and Nienke is the designer in the Netherlands who is really, she has really introduced the woolly tattoos here. I learned it from her, and I definitely wanted to do it here, but I was a little bit doubting about how I would do them because my cables were a little bit more close together, and I did try several things, but at the end I followed the pattern by making 5 little flowers. It's the stern stitch. It's a really lovely embroidery stitch, and in the pattern it is explained, but Nienke also made a video on her Instagram. I will link it down below. It's really satisfying. I don't know anything about embroidering, so yeah, but I can do it, so that's really nice. I decided to skip one cable in between. That's not in the original pattern, you don't do that, but because there's a little bit more distance here, that seemed as a good idea, and it worked out pretty good. I used hand-dyed embroidery yarn for it. I don't like the word embroidery. The O and the E next together I am struggling with that. Embroidery. It made me want to use a weird voice. Embroidery. This was gifted to me by a Dutch dyer. Lindelicht is the name of her company. And she dyes the most beautiful yarns and also embroidery yarn. And that's really lovely. I didn't use these colors, obviously. But those tiny little mini skeins are really hard jumping. And I did use the yellow and the green. The yellow reminds me of the sunflowers, and in combination with the dark brown of the body, it gives me a little bit of a 70s feeling, and I really love that. I'm from the 80s, but I love the 70s vibe. So that's really nice. And I decided to do them all yellow because that's just what I wanted. Yeah. The size is perfect. When I was knitting it, it was quite exciting because I was a little bit afraid that it would be too big, especially the garter stitch. The back is all garter stitch. You knit it a little bit shorter than the front pieces because here are cables, and those are catching. Now the garter stitch can be stretching out a little bit more. And when I was splitting for the sleeves, for the armholes, there was a very big space here, and I thought, oh, maybe I did make it too big, but when I added the ribbing, it was not too big at all. It shouldn't be smaller. That was it's perfect. It's not too small, but it is absolutely not too big. So I love the size of this little tiny vest. And yeah, it's really perfect. It's so hard jumping. It makes me so happy. And I think I can get a lot of wear out of it the coming weeks, the coming season. And I definitely will make another one. And then I will make it inlet loopy because I just love that yarn. And I have a lot of it in my stash. And then it will be more of an autumn winter version. You can wear it under a cardigan when it's really cold. It's just perfect. And I think I will do exactly the same. So that will be a little bit more. This is a DK weight yarn and Letlopi is worsted weight. It will be a little bit bigger, but just a tiny little bit. I think I will do that. So yeah, really lovely. Absolutely making me happy, and very nice to have a finished object. Since I put all my works in progress on the table, I am really in a finishing mood. I really love to have several projects on my needles, but I also really love to finish projects. So before I want to cast on all the new summer things, I am finishing some things. I did finish my Sunny Square tote, but it's drying. I blocked it. It's drying upstairs, so I will share that later this week. I'm quite close to finishing my last pair of socks. I also will share that later this week. I did buy some new yarn for the surprise sock along, which will start tomorrow from Stephen West. It was not my plan to buy new yarn. It was actually my plan to use yarn from Stash, but I was at the knit night in the new local yarn shop in my city last Thursday. It was very nice. It's always nice to come together with all the creative people, and I realized that I want to buy some yarn in the yarn shop, not for myself, but to support the yarn shop. So I will show it to you later in the outro. I'll do a little bit of filming. I bought 100 grams of the main color, and I have to compare it with 3 different colors, 20 grams skeins, but I have so many sock yarn in my, I have so much sock yarn in my stash that that won't be a problem. But I am quite sure I won't start tomorrow with the surprise sock along because of the Knit to Purl to festival. Tickets will be on sale from Wednesday, and there's an endless to-do list for me before then. So I have to work very hard, and I don't think it's a good timing to start a new pattern, a surprise sock along, because I need all my time for the Knit to Purl to festival. And when I do have a little bit time, I don't have brain space, I'm quite sure. I don't have it now, so I definitely will have it tomorrow. So but my holiday will start at Friday, so I think I will save it for Friday. I will check the hashtag and also the pattern. It's not necessary for me to be really a mystery. I did join 2 mystery knit-alongs before, and the first thing I always did was scroll to the end of the video to look how it will look after clue 1. So I will look and I will search and I will check other people's progress, and then I will decide my colors. That's how I will do it, I guess. So yeah, well, although I don't have the time to start tomorrow, I really am looking forward to it, and it definitely will be my holiday project. But I won't join the challenge by finishing every clue before the next Tuesday. I was doubting about that last week, I guess, but yeah, it's absolutely not possible. And I really love a good challenge every now and then, but starting a challenge which you already know before you start that it will be impossible, yeah, that will not give me a successful feeling. So I won't do that. Yeah. I also started a dress this weekend. Oh, no, not a dress. A second songbird skirt this weekend. I did buy some fabric, some double gauze fabric. Quite some double gauze fabric in the most lovely colors, because I want to make skirts, songbird skirts in it, and also towels. And do you call it a bath towel when you go on holiday and you have that big towel you can lay on when you are swimming? You have the tiny ones to dry yourself with. In the Netherlands we use the double gauze towels for babies. It's very thin, but when we go on holiday we don't have a lot of space to bring stuff with us. So the towels, they are quite big and thick. So it is my plan to make the double gauze fabric towels, because they will be very small and compact and they will dry quickly. So I did try to make one this weekend, and it's already in my daughter's suit, because she did leave on holiday this night, and she did bring one with her. But it was very nice and easy and satisfying to make my own double gauze towels. So I do have to make a pile, but I also start to make a second songbird skirt in the brown double gauze, and I really love it. It was not such a hard jumping process as my first one, because my sewing machine is, I don't know, we were on quite good speaking terms. Our friendship was really going well, but she is struggling. I don't know what her issue is. She won't tell me yet, but she didn't want to tell me yet, but I can't find a problem. But she's not sewing good. So maybe she needs a holiday too. I did, and also the double gauze fabric is much harder it's very thin fabric, so it's harder to sew than the thicker weight, the heavier weight cotton, I guess. But it doesn't matter. It's also quite forgivable fabric, I guess, because now I'm ironing it all the time. But when you wash double gauze, it's a bit of a crinkly, and that's okay with the double gauze. That's the charm of the double gauze, and Sarah needs that charm in this garment. But I really want to finish one this week because the weather will be better and it will be the perfect garment to wear. And I also want to bring one or maybe two with me on holiday. I will give you a sneak peek in the outro when I do all the filming. But the last thing I want to share with you is my Prague blanket. I add my last square, I guess it was this one. I added my last square on Friday, Saturday, I'm not quite sure. Last week. And now I started the border. I thought maybe I can finish this blanket too before we go on holiday, but I did forget how much time it costs to make a whole round a row around the border. So I don't think I will make it. It was my plan. I'm not quite sure how it will work out. It was my plan to crochet up most of those yarns in the border, but I don't know. It's quite a lot, and maybe it will be too big, so I just see how it will end. But what I want to share with you, I have a special way to make a straight border. When you have all those tiny squares connected, I always do something special at the connection. I learned that through Pinterest. I have no idea who I can give the credits for it, but I discovered it, I think maybe 10 years ago, so I have absolutely no idea, but I always use this method and it's really nice, and I will show you it in detail with my camera in my hand. So maybe you already know this technique, and otherwise you maybe will be happy discovering it, because I was happy when I discovered it. It really makes your border nice and straight. Yeah, I will bring you with me today. I hope you enjoy, and I want to thank you for watching, and maybe I will see you tomorrow. Bye bye. Okay, let me share my way of crocheting a border around a granny square blanket. When you crochet granny squares as you go and you want to crochet a blanket around, you have those connections between those two squares, which are giving you one hole, that one, and a second one, that one. And when you will knit, you knit clusters in between every hole. And when you will knit a hole in that, a cluster in that hole and one in that, no, you don't knit them, you crochet them. When you crochet a cluster in that hole and in that hole, you will have 6 double crochets here, and that's quite a lot. So there's the sun, that's nice on those colors. That's quite a lot. And when you do that, there is a risk that there will be too much stitches here, and your border will get a little bit bubbly and waving, and you want a nice straight border. So what I always do, and as I said, I don't know who I can give the credits for this because I discovered it years and years ago on Pinterest. I make a new cluster, and I do that by crocheting a double crochet in the first hole. Then in this hole and that hole, crochet 2 double crochets together. So one you start here and one you start there. But by crocheting them together, you make one of them, and then make a third one in the second hole. So it looks like they are with 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, but those 2 middle ones are crocheted together, so they are 1 stitch, and that creates a new cluster. So you don't have 2 clusters here, but just 1, and that makes your keeps your border quite straight and neat, and that's really nice. So you only have to do that in the first round, because the second round you can just crochet it as the rest of the stitches. Because those I have a lot of those tiny squares, I have to do this quite often, but it's not necessary. You can see it's a little bit wonky still right now, but when I add the second row, that will disappear completely. So really a lovely technique to avoid a bulky, flowy border and just make it straight and neat.
the stars, driving down the boulevard at night. Playing Coldplay on repeat, watching people on the street as I go by. And it doesn't even matter to me where I go, I just feel I need to take a ride. Got my coffee cup to go, and I'm gonna hit the road tonight. Now my wheels in motion and my windows open with the wind blowing in my hair. I'm driving down the highway, gonna do this my way. I can feel it in the air. Here I go. Turning up the stereo in a place I didn't know till now. In a different part of town, I see new colors as the sun goes down. No, it doesn't even matter to me where I go, just feel I need to take a ride. I don't know when I'll get back, keep on going and relax tonight. Now my wheels in motion and my windows open with the wind blowing in my hair. I'm driving down the highway, gonna do this my way. I can feel it in the air. Here I go. I'm not heading for the stars, driving down this boulevard tonight. Yeah, playing Coldplay on repeat, watching people on the street as I go by. Now my wheels in motion and my